Okay, reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Book 1, Chapter 6, Text 33. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Athāgataṁ guru-gṛhāt. Tvat-prabhuṁ prati kiñcana. Saṅkṣepeṇaiva tad-vṛttaṁ duḥkhād akathayaṁ ku-dhīḥ. But I am not very intelligent. After your Lord returned from the house of his spiritual master, my sadness drove me to tell him briefly how the Vraja-vāsīs were faring. Purport: when he arrived in Mathura, Krishna was always studying with Balaram at the ashram, was away studying with Balaram at the ashram of Sandipani Muni, but after some days the two brothers returned. Rohini was distraught about the plight of the Vraja-vāsīs, who would not likely survive without Krishna. Therefore she decided to inform Krishna about their condition, even at the risk of discomposing them. She tried to tell him only enough to make him want to visit Vraja to console his devotees, but not tell him so much that his own mental stability would be threatened. Rohini, however, seems not to have acted with the best of intelligence. Revealing one's mind generally relieves anxiety, but one should take care to reveal one's mind under favorable circumstances to avoid disturbing others. Thus, Rohini can say in retrospect that it was unwise for her to have risked exposing Krishna to the torment of Viraha-bhav. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Payebacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So greetings from Brick, New Jersey. My beard is a little bit longer than I usually keep it. I had cataract surgery on Thursday, so they say you can't wash your face for 3 days afterwards, so I didn't want to shave. I'll shave tomorrow. Yeah, it was easy. It was no pain. And immediately my vision cleared up. I think I was almost legally blind, perhaps, in my left eye. I couldn't read the top of the, when they give those eye tests, I couldn't read the top letter. It was blurry. That's how bad it was. And it went so well that they usually made you wait 2 weeks because to get the other eye done, because they have to be balanced. The other eye's okay, not so bad. But because if they ruin one eye, the one eye that's good, whatever it is, they want to, be very careful. But it went so well that they just moved it up, so I'll finish it by next Thursday. But yeah, it's Krishna's grace, and you kind of get like an appreciation for modernity and Western science, and because it was done so well and expert, and the anesthesia and so many people dealing with you, etc. But I guess in previous ages people just went blind, but it it, it wasn't as crucial. I've seen this in India. I wanted to make this philosophical point, that when people are in a culture of the soul, the tragedy of life is reduced. Yeah, and I see that, because, I have my friend Sridhar Mali, you've probably came, he passed away this year. And of course they mourned for him, etc. But the whole process is just tempered. The tragedy is tempered. The separation is there, but the tragedy is tempered by a faith in the soul. So, and then, I think, okay, now, I was very functional. I could read, I could see, etc. But, the question is, Dharmasvanushtitam pumsam viviksena katasya nopadye yatiratim shrama eva kevalam, that any activity, dharmasvanushtita, sunushtita means done expertly, dharmasvanushtita pumsam viviksena katasya nopadye yatiratim prati shrama eva. If it doesn't give you, if it's not connected to the soul, we have sense gratification. I make these points. We have enjoyment, and we connect them to the soul because we take what we need to be peaceful and fit for devotional service. That's there. But if they're not connected to the soul, then shrama evi kevalam. They're only certainly also useless. They're useless. So yeah, okay. Now I have a little bit. Yeah, I could read much easier, but yeah, now read. What are, that whole second canto of the Bhagavatam, the second chapter, what is the use of the eyes if they don't look at the beautiful form of the Lord? They're no better than the eyes on a peacock, and all the senses, they become not only useful, they become detrimental. What's the use of the voice if it's like the croaking of a frog? If you don't glorify Krishna, it only attracts the snake of death. What's the use of a beautiful turban on a drowning man? It makes him sink further. So that idea that every sense is useless unless it's connected to that goal. And that's what devotional life means. We connect it to the goal. In Madhurya Kadambini, it describes at the end when the soul comes to the spiritual world and how his senses become so enlivened with that connection with God. First, he comes to the spiritual world and he sees Krishna, and then all his senses become eyes. How does that, all your senses become eyes? If you hear someone's name, you see them. So the sense of the hearing sense becomes eyes. Someone gives you, close your eyes, and someone gives you some food. I'm hungry now. And it's a beautiful samosa with tomato chutney, and you bite it in, you see that samosa. Someone gives you som papri, you see it by the taste. So the soul, all his eyes see Krishna, and then he faints. And then Krishna, out of love, calls the devotee to wake up. And then all his senses hear Krishna. Yeah, just like that. Let's say you see a picture of Aretha Franklin, let's say. Then you may hear her by seeing her. You may hear. So like this, that's the purpose of the senses. The purpose of the senses is to feel Krishna's love and to express our love for Krishna. That's the purpose of the senses. So that's my Krishna-katha. Now the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, really essential section. We're really getting into this. Remember, we began with the tasya parama antim. This is what Sanatana Goswami has to give us. An ability to hear about the highest things and understand them as the highest things. That's his mission. That's the mission of the Bhagavatam. So that we hear the highest thing and we understand the highest thing, and we not only understand the highest thing, but we feel the highest thing, which is our connection with God. So he's worked our way up now in this beautiful story, and we've all been going through it together. I look at the people, we've all been here since the beginning of Narada's search and how he's understanding bhakti in different forms. He's getting his, it's like studying mathematics. You start with 1 + 1 = 2, and then you get the division, and then fractions, and then algebra, then calculus, and then, so it's like that with bhakti. You get atra sargas visargas cha, you get creation, post stitir, poshanam utaya, the right situation, vaikunta vijayo, that God is supreme. And then you come up and you get the intellectual and emotional faculties to hear Krishna's pastimes and feel them deeply in your heart. And we're seeing it all through the vision of Narada, who's the exemplar for devotional service. And now he's come to see Uddhava. And I'm not inclined to repeat the whole thing because we've all been here together, but he sees Uddhava. He's coming to see Uddhava, and in an incredibly overwhelming ecstatic state. And Uddhava, kind of like all Vaishnavas, tries to deflect praise, the stimulus to put you in the center and not feel love. How's that for elevated consciousness? That you actually don't want it. You don't want likes. You get off Instagram. Maybe use it for spiritual purposes. So he deflects that praise, and not even artificially. We describe this, the psychology of love, which is so unself-centered, and the faith and pleasure that the soul, one who's realized the soul, has in his heart. They just want to serve. Seva bhav. They see everything through the emotion of wanting to please and serve God and serve those in relationship to God in the best way by bringing them to God or facilitating their material existence in a way that they be more receptive and to God. So he doesn't want it, and he points to the gopis, and was it, and again, this startling thing and literary theme and history, whatever, that the greatest person outside of Vrindavan in intelligence, in emotion, in learning, in devotion, he's got it all. There's no one higher than Uddhava. And maybe these are the four pillars. Let me say, I'll make up something now. Let's see if we can come up something, because it's described in the Bhagavatam. Let's say the four pillars of exalted personality: your devotion, your emotion, your intelligence, and your guru-nishtha. So he had all these things. He was the disciple of Brihaspati. He was the supremely intelligent person. He was mantri. He had the ability to understand and communicate emotions. He was dayata. He was dear to Krishna. So you have this exalted person that even it was described before, when Narada wanted to see Uddhava and explaining why, he was explaining that he's glorified by all the other Yadavas. But he speaks from the heart. My devotion was crushed to dust when I saw the gopis. And therefore, Narada, if you are looking for the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy, there you have it. There you have it. Now we're at the part where Rohini, she's objecting. And she tells her story. Recipient of Krishna's mercy, they're suffering so much. If you see or hear the suffering of Mother Yasoda, that emotion should melt a rock. That emotion should crush a thunderbolt. So here what's happening is it's trying to be communicated to us the best we can that this is the highest love. It's the highest emotion. And because it's the love and emotion of God and what he puts in other people's heart, you cannot even quantify it. But yet it's trying to be explained in a way that to just put it as this parama antim, this end goal. And that love is being described in terms of the suffering of the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, because their feelings of separation are so deep. What to speak of the gopis who are like corpses? Their bodies, they have no life in them. And they say that when Krishna is in the Kaliya serpent, when they see Krishna in the Kaliya serpent, tvat-prabhuṁ shunyam, a few stories I've read, tvat-prabhuṁ zero, without Govinda Vrahena me, sunyayatam, in that absence, zero, tormented, suffering, burning. So now the question is, if you extract yourself of what the message is here that Sanatana Goswami is trying to give, he has to give us a frame of reference to understand it. And the frame of reference is going to come out of this discussion or debate between the first indication. It's going to be born out of this debate, because this has to be resolved. how is this suffering the highest ecstasy, when it appears exactly the opposite? That question has to be resolved. And the other question is, what's going to be brought up here now is, it's going to come up next. This, though, did not soften his heart, since all he did in response is send you, an expert in the clever art of delivering messages. So these 2 points, we're going to have to understand. If they're the recipients of Krishna's mercy, why are they suffering so much? And if they're suffering so much, then why hasn't Krishna gone to see them? And the resolution of these 2 things will even exalt the level of affection that the gopis have for Krishna and that Krishna has for them, because that's the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy. It's Krishna's love for that person. And this is such an important point. Real mercy is being loved, not having things. Everyone knows it. Real mercy is being loved. That's, why we like, in one sense, hopefully why we like to go to festivals. We see the people we love, and we see the people that love us. And in the modern age, they don't live in our village. So it's such a joy when I go back to Govardhan from here. It's such a joy seeing people I've known for many years, whether it's a Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, a rickshaw driver, or a devotee that's been there forever, or people I've just met. But look at Rohini also. She loves Krishna so much, and she loves the Vraja-vāsīs, and she's torn. They're suffering so much. Krishna has to relieve their suffering, but if I tell Krishna, he's going to be suffering so much. Nigama kalpataro galitam phalam sukha mukha amrita dravya samyatam Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta rasayam. Rasamalayam, drink this rasa. It's all love. It's descriptions of love to the highest degree, meant to bring those sentiments into your heart so you'll have the right objectives in life that can actually give you happiness. But you're so nice, right? In the Yoga Sutras, when it explains truthfulness, it explains, I don't have it right now, but it explains 4 or 5 characteristics. First of all, the prime quality is ahimsa. So you don't tell truth that causes harm. The Yoga Sutras, the first yama is described as ahimsa, as an elephant footprint, that everything else has to come within that. Nothing can defy ahimsa. It's the overriding regulative principle. So it trumps truth. And the example is, if you're World War II and you're a pious priest and nun, and you're hiding some Jew, and the Nazis come and they say where they are, and you say, I read about George Washington who never told a lie. They're in that closet. So real truth has these criterias of sensitivity. If we can live our lives in nonviolence, how wonderful that would be. You have to become free from selfish desires, because inevitably there will conflict with someone else, and the tendency will be to act for yourself in lieu of another person's happiness. It's just the way it works. We have to become pure. We have to become devotees at heart. And that will And that experience of devotion real devotion will create compassion within our hearts, because we will understand what people are missing. And without that, we may envy them if we have a faith of materialism still in our hearts. We'll envy those who have more than us materially, rather than be compassionate for those people who are bereft of bhakti, rich or poor. Yeah. Yeah, Prabhupada's mission. So much compassion. Jiva doi Krishna nam sarva dharma sar. Nadiya godrume nityananda mahajan. Jiva doi, the compassion for the souls, for the jivas. Krishna nam, giving them the holy name, sarva dharma sar. Yeah. I had a wonderful discussion with Vraja-vāsīs, and he calls me up to discuss things that he's doing. So I kind of like that service. Everybody likes to be empowered, so I like to use my brain in that way. And he's writing a book on japa meditation, but very interesting, reframing. I'm not going to remember the whole thing when it comes out. I'll suggest you get it. Reframing all the 10 offenses in a positive way, not just a negative way. Anyway, that just came to my mind. So let's enjoy the rasa of this and feel it. Nahi komalitam chittam, 34. Tenapi asya yato bhavan, sandesha chaturi vidya, pragalbha prashita param. This, though, did not soften his heart, since all he did in response was send you, an expert in the clever art of delivering messages. So Uddhava, he didn't come back. I told him this. I felt bad. He was so distressed about them. But what did he do? He just sent you. And why did he send you? Because Chaturi Vidya, in the art of Chaturi, cleverness, Pragalbha, your provision. So he sent you, purport. Much to Rohini's surprise, Krishna did not respond with deep concern. And when Uddhava delivered Krishna's message to the Vraja-vāsīs, they did not recover from their devastation. On the contrary, they showed even more extreme symptoms of distress. Ayam evahi kim teshu tvat-prabhuṁ paramo mahan anu-gṛhāt prasado yas tatparye nochite tvayi. I can see the screen so clearly. Is this your Lord's greatest favor and mercy upon them, as your words imply? Is this mercy? You call this mercy? I've seen their suffering, and Uddhava, this is the greatest favor of Krishna? As your words imply? So this has to be resolved. 36 and 38. Mama pratyakshame vedam yada Krishno vraja-vāsīs tato hi putanadibhya keshyantebhyo muhur tatyebhyo paranedradi devebhyo jagaradita tata chirantana sviya Shakatarjuna Bhangata Kovano Pajavastatra Jato Vraja-vāsīs tatrayastu jana kinchit te nushan datate yatat. My own experience is this. This is Rohini. When Krishna lived in Vraja, so many calamities threatened to destroy it. Vraja was disturbed by many demons, from Putana to Keshi, by demigods like Varuna and Indra, by creatures like the python, and by the falling of familiar things at Krishna's house, like the cart and the Arjuna trees. But to these dangers, the residents paid no regard. So it's trying to show everything is focused on Krishna and Krishna's pleasure. That is the lens that the pure soul interprets the world from. So, vipata shantu tashashvat tattva tatra jagat. Let these calamities happen again and again. It's such a powerful and overwhelming and all-consuming emotion. Rasa-vāsīs, and that's the ultimate reality. And that's the ultimate reality. Purport: the residents of Vraja were simply happy to have Krishna in their midst. They did not care what dangers befell them due to Kamsa seeing Krishna as an enemy to be destroyed. To kill Krishna and ruin Krishna's homeland, Kamsa sent many demons, those mentioned in this verse and others like Kaliya, the serpent, who on Krishna's order polluted the Jamuna daily with deadly poison. Besides the friends of Kamsa, Krishna had yet other adversaries, including powerful rulers of heaven. Nonetheless, the Vraja-vāsīs constantly thought only about how to keep Krishna happy. They never considered protecting themselves from the attacks of demigods or demons. It's love. What it's trying to explain is that we're experiencing something here, it gives us happiness, but what if we had a universal love that was so consuming that was our only thought? That was our only value. Of course, it includes those in relationship. It's not just worshiping God. It reflects, that love for God reflects on every living entity. So they never considered anything else, nothing else. Talk about priorities, nothing else was important to them. But love, but universal love, nothing else was important to them. Mohita eva krishnasya mangalam tattva-tattva ichanti sarvadasviyam napekshanti chakarhichit. As if entranced, in each and every event, they wanted only to assure Krishna's welfare. They never thought about themselves. This is the platform you have to come to. Pure selflessness, the soul, the consciousness, which fruition is this pure love of everything, and never thinking about oneself, or thinking about oneself only in relationship to everything. Like the mother who puts on the oxygen mask first in the planes, so then helps her child. So she thinks of herself, but in relationship to the child. So even one's personal pleasures. Doesn't this make sense? That if there's an ultimate reality and the highest pleasure is love, that it'll be so consuming that people just don't think of themselves. And isn't that what we appreciate in others, those that are selfless, those who sacrifice and serve others? It's our life mission to root this selfishness out of our heart by surrendering to the will of Krishna as it comes through the Vaishnavas and the teachers, Guru and Krishna. How Prabhupada lived that way. And how we see his followers, and not just initiated followers, but their disciples, those who understand it, those who get it. They just give themselves. Purport, it was Krishna who entranced the residents of Vraja, acting through his Yogamaya potency. He diverted them from paying attention to their own safety. At the same time, he completely protected them. Vaishnavas are supposed to cultivate the understanding that Krishna will protect them from all dangers. Rakshish yatiti vishvasa, Vaishnav Tantra. The Vraja-vāsīs, however, manifested the perfection of this surrender spontaneously without having to practice it. That's what the soul is. And there's 6 principles of Sharanagati, taking shelter of Krishna, which indicates our faith in Krishna. We do things that are favorable for Krishna. We have faith in that this is the best thing. We avoid those things that are unfavorable to serve him. This is the best thing. We believe Krishna will always protect us. This is that, and that he'll maintain us, and that the humble position is the right situation of the soul, and that we should give everything to God. Never thought about themselves. So it's anya bilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyana-vṛttaṁ anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhakta uttama anya bilashita shunyam. No other desires that are integral with the self. No other desires. I'll tell a story. I don't think I've ever told this story, but the way that we first started going to Narayan Maharaj was that Tamal Krishna Maharaj was writing a book, the Brahma Samhita. He wanted to write something. He was a visionary, and he was in the court case in Mumbai, because Prabhupada's oldest son is sued ISKCON, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj was our main witness, and Narayan Maharaj, who did the fire yoga when Prabhupada took sannyas, and I explained this many times, that in Indian law, the property automatically goes to the oldest son, unless the will is directed otherwise. Prabhupada's will was not done properly by Hiralal Agrawal, who was also my lawyer, by the way, when I was having court cases getting shopkeepers out of the Gurukul. Prabhupada wrote in the thing that so many lies are spoken in the courts of Mathura that they hang in the air as sinful activities and fall on the participants. So anyway, it wasn't done properly. So the Indian law, it goes to the eldest son if there's no will, unless the father takes sannyas. If father takes sannyas, then... So the proof was Narayan Maharaj. But anyway, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was there, and he started talking to him about the Brahma Samhita, and they developed a very sweet relationship. Narayan Maharaj is a great scholar. They began to discuss Brahma Samhita, and Narayan Maharaj was... So when Tamal Krishna Maharaj came back, he told Burijan and myself, this was so enlivening. This is senior Vaishnava. So I took him to Burijan Prabhu, well, why don't we go there? So at that time, he wasn't initiating disciples. There wasn't any conflict. It was in Mathura. It's just 20, 30 minutes away. So we went, and we asked him, well, we'd like you to teach us something. We heard Tamal Krishna Maharaj very enlivened. So he said, what? We said, Jaiva Dharma. We didn't really know what the book was, but we heard it was a very important book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And maybe it'll come out by the BBT. It's a fantastic book. So he said, oh, so you want to understand Raganuga Bhakti. And then he went, Anya Bilashita Shunyam. We didn't have any objective, otherwise we heard about the book. Anya Bilashita, no other desires. You want to understand the love for Radha and Krishna? You should deeply, you have to follow them. You have to give up your selfishness. Anyway, we learn about these things, but there's a caution and a progression. Swabhava sohridainaiva yat kiñchat sarvam atmana asyo pakalpayante sma nanda suno sukhayata. In natural fondness for the son of Nanda, they fully dedicated everything they owned to his pleasure. Purport: so-called love in the material world is always motivated by some selfish desire, but in Vrindavan Dham, Sri Vrindavan Dham, everyone loves Krishna without a motive. It may be said that unmotivated love of God is also found in Vaikuntha, but that love is restricted by the devotee's awareness of the supremacy of Lord Narayan. In Vrindavan, the residents seek Krishna just as Nanda Maharaj's darling son, and not the Lord of all existence or even the hero of the Yadu dynasty. Seeing Krishna with this attitude allows the Braj-vāsīs freely to express their unconditional prema bhakti. Kevala Ananda Kanda Parama Karuna Pahu Dvijana Nitai Gora Chandra Sabhavatar Sarashiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda. Kevala Ananda Kanda. Kanda means the path. That's Kevala Ananda. It's pure, only Kevala, only Ananda. So the Vaikuntha love, it's so pure, but because you're dealing with a superior Aishvarya, then there's some sense of duty, there's some sense of distance, and there's some sense of fear. In that relationship, in that love. Fear, you have to do it right. But you don't have any fear when dealing with Krishna. Duty, it's my superior, there's an obligation. And distance, can't be so intimate. It's a love, it's a wonderful love, reverential love, it's beautiful. But this love is special, they're saying. And how special it is? God comes to this world to give that love and to experience that love in the world. Okay, wow, it's so beautiful. Even then your Lord did nothing to help them, and who could bear to hear me say what he was doing now to accomplish the goals of his other devotees? So he's so absorbed here. Okay. Anyway, I think it's good to stop. Jamunajaya can say she starts things rolling generally with something that, yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for class. It was such a beautiful, something you said at the beginning, and then it just, it wove its way through the whole thing when you said, when living in a culture of the soul, it tempers the pains and distractions of the material world. I didn't get it exactly right,
Yeah,
the last part, because my pen died. And I was running to find a new pen.
Well,
But
you'll get the recording. Yeah.
okay. But I love the point about when living in the culture of the soul, and that is living, as you said, with ahimsa, that, and I love the way you tied in what ahimsa actually is if that we give up selfish desires, then we're not violently seeking other things. So I love that it's seen throughout. You were showing us the culture of the soul through the Vraja-vāsīs.
And at the same time, trying to temper the misconception that devotion is renunciation and not dedication. So it's a very fine line. But yes, that I saw that in India. That sense of eternality is more in the culture, and it creates less fear and less. Like for example, I read this book, Christopher Hitchens, my favorite atheist. He wrote a book that God is not great, how religion poisons everything. But he died of throat cancer, and he was a great writer. I explained this, and he was able to outline it, and he said that the result of modern medical treatment is it can prolong the torture in the body, because and take away all your family legacy. Where when I saw that Sridhar, when he came back from the hospital. Actually, I think the last time I went to see him, I was with a group and he wasn't there. He was in the hospital, and he was getting out of the hospital. And then somehow he came right as when we were there. So it was nice to see him. But he was just thinking, if Krishna wants to take me, you saw that. If Krishna wants to take me, I go. So it didn't have that same, that this is the ultimate only reality, and it's a one chance shot. Okay. All right. Gail, you have your chance to ask a question or a comment. There.
Thank you, Maharaj. Whenever you ask me that, I don't have one.
Another lousy class.
No,
I'm joking. I'm joking, Gail.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anything you appreciated? Remember? Wow, this is the first time, Gail. Okay. Anybody?
No, yeah, I'm having a very fatigued morning. That's my problem.
Okay, Haribo, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Anybody else like to make a comment or appreciation or say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Krishna-katha. Thank you so much for the class. I very much like.
Be on camera, I'm gonna.
Krishna-katha, go ahead.
Yes, I thought that somebody wanted to say something. So, and I appreciate very much when you said that if we have compassion, we don't have envy. And it's so important and so deep. I'm still thinking about that.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being such a regular.
Thank you very much.
I have this desire. I read this one article. I read this one article, and it gave me a desire to visit Russia. It was an article about how many Americans are actually going there now. So, but anyway, okay. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much for class.
Wait, is this Iowa?
Yes.
It looks like the tropical paradise there.
Well, it's spring. It's beautiful.
Okay, good. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Tota Gopinath here. Great to hear from you.
Okay, Haribo, Tota.
Haribo.
Good. Who else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for class. This is Hemala Tarrada.
Haribo, good.
Hare
Nice
Krishna
to see
Maharaj.
you. Good. Good.
How was the operation?
It was, I mean, if you're going to get an operation, this one is like, it takes 15, 20 minutes. You're out cold. You don't feel anything. There wasn't any pain afterwards. I just got to take all these drops all the time. Got to take the yellow, red. No, it was kind of, and I was so happy because they tell you, we can't tell you until the day before what time it will be. So just be prepared. And it's between 2 and 4. and you can't eat or drink anything from midnight the day before.
Wow. So
they called me up. They said, come at 6:30 in the morning. So I thought, wow, this is great. So Tota took off and went there early, and it was quite, efficient. That's all I can say. But I couldn't wash my face for 3 days. Not that, this is the limit for me. Okay, Haribo. Nice to
Hare
see you.
Krishna Maharaj.
Thank you. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Slow Govinda.
And Braja, thanks for class.
Thank you for class.
Haribo, Braja. Hi. You didn't go up for the Saver weekend. You're going up next week.
Yeah, for Memorial.
Okay. What's Tom Selleck doing in your house? I didn't even know who he was until you said he looks like it, but now he looks exactly like him. Okay. Anybody else say hello? I'm looking at all the people that are coming, so I got the idea of everyone, and I'm so happy that we had a nice group. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hi, Bo. Who's it? Oh, hey, Bhakti Devi.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. It's Bhakti Devi.
Hi.
How are you? I'm so glad to hear that everything went well. And thank you for your comment about envy and to have compassion.
Yeah.
Because that's one that I really need a lot of work on.
You're full of love, Bhakti Devi. That's why I gave you that name. Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh,
Thank you for your class.
Thanks for coming on.
Hare
Great.
Krishna.
Okay, Haribo. Good. All right. Panchakalpa Tarubhyas Chakrapa Sindhu